Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar today, which is nicely named MaxHax. It took a while for us to come up with that alliteration in the marketing team, but today we're talking about how you can maximize your sales and debt collection rates with the help of MaxContact. So just before we go on to intros to Ben and myself, I'll just cover a couple of the housekeeping items. So the session is being recorded. The full recording and transcript and the supporting slides will be shared in a follow-up email shortly. So if you have to jump off for whatever reason, don't worry, we'll follow up with you as you've registered. And the Q&A will be open throughout. So we're actively encouraging you to use the chat or the Q&A function, whatever you prefer. We run these sessions live so that we can have that interaction with you. You can ask questions on the fly around what we're talking about, and there's time at the end to make sure that we've got enough coverage to go over those questions. And then, yeah, if you found this session useful, please share it with anyone that you want to. So we'll be sharing the link. I'm sure people will hopefully find it valuable. So before we move on and get started, the format of today's session is I'm going to talk a little bit about the contact strategies, both for outbound and inbound. And Ben is going to then show you within the MaxContact platform how you can use some of those strategies and implement them in your day-to-day work. So Ben O'Reilly, if you haven't met Ben, Ben is our training specialist at MaxContact. He's been with the organization and in the contact space for over 7 years now, and was trained professionally as a professional educator, going into education, and moved into the B2B space a little while ago. I'm Kayleigh Tait. I'm head of marketing at MaxContact, been here almost 4 years, so a little bit less than Ben. But I have spent the majority of my career in B2B, B2C roles, helping sales and marketing teams drive commercial performance, campaign performance. So a lot of the things today that we're talking about has a good crossover with my day-to-day work as well. So we'll jump into the next slide, which is around how you can build effective outbound campaigns, essentially. So as a marketing veteran, I can't stress enough that all great campaigns do start with a solid data strategy. So we're going to talk first about list management and segmentation and how as an organization you might be able to use it more effectively. There might be a few things that you might not know. So we're here to share some of those things today. So list management in MaxContact does allow for really granular control and efficient data handling. It enables users to segment and prioritize data for optimal campaign performance. So you've got things like the ability to import data for granularity, for better control. So things like ensuring that when we're importing data, that you're able to import different attributes. So you can have as many data points that you want to append to the data that you're using in the platform. So say, for example, you want to ensure that you are proactively targeting a certain set of clients. It might be a persona that you're going after or someone that's about to come out of contract. If you ensure that you're using that data within that import, it then allows you to utilize that data for campaigns in different ways as well. So that's separate data into different lists for varied treatment. So I used to work at a broadband company a few years ago now, and we proactively targeted millennials who wanted great data packages. We knew that our proposition really resonated with them for their broadband needs. Therefore, we would use mosaic segmentation, user experience data to really bolster the data that we had for our prospect outreach. And that really helps. It might be a smaller list that you're going after, but it's more effective. Your proposition resonates with them, and really it helps with that campaign success and conversion. You've also got the option to set different recall frequencies for the data sets as well. So you might find that you want to target a cost per sale or a cost per debt collected. And that really helps set and define your recall rates. And you can help with this by using campaign history, looking at reports to really define how many attempts that you do want to give a certain data set. So if you've got high priority data you want to go after, you can define all that within the platform as well. That's something that Ben will take you through shortly. You've then got the opportunity to change the priorities as well for different data sets based on performance. So if you've got some data sets that are high value prospects or time sensitive, you can even use skills-based routing to ensure that you've got the best agent on the job to reach out to those leads as well. And that's something that you can think about, plan out and set up so that that is automatically happening in the background for your campaigns. And you can be sure that things are being treated in the way that you want them to be treated. Data Manager is available. It's a great feature for easy data manipulation. And then a few top tips really from us on data. It's the importance of clean and up-to-date contact lists. I think it goes without saying, but it can be something that falls off the list sometimes with data hygiene. Just making sure that you've got a do not call lists, you're cleansing lists regularly, and updating data points as you go. So you don't have to start appending loads and loads of different fields to your data from the very start, but as you progress using the platform and as your campaigns mature, there are things that you can add in over time. And then the final recommendation is to ensure that you are segmenting data enough so that you are able to see what is working and what isn't. So don't go too granular and create so many lists that it's hard to see the wood for the trees, but make sure that you are segmenting data in a way that you can then get a valid conclusion of the test that you're running. You can see, okay, well, that list targeting this certain demographic in this geography that is performing a certain way, and you've segmented your list in that way. So you can use that really for any sort of analysis. It might be you want to focus on credit score, contract renewal date, propensity to pay. All those types of things can be used to make sure that you're segmenting and that data is able to be used for analysis. So next up is the dialer modes and pacing of how your campaign is structured. So for the most efficient use of campaign data and also for the people that are working through your campaigns as well. So dialer modes and pacing. So choosing the right dialer mode can really make or break a campaign. MaxContact, as you might know, offers various different modes to suit different needs. And those needs really depend on whether you've got staff available, how many are in your team, how much you want to optimize performance, and then also compliance as well. So just touching on the different dialing modes, we've got preview dialing, and that's when agents want to research before calling. You can actually set out a preview timeout, so you can control the time that they get to actually research if you wanted to do that and set those parameters. Then you have got progressive dialing, which is also known as power dialing in the industry. We call it progressive at MaxContact. And that's used when preview isn't necessary. It's a faster pace. And what we found as well after talking to clients, that progressive is great for if you don't want your agents to start to research or form a bias around some of the contacts or the leads that they're outreaching to. You don't want them really thinking, oh, I won't reach out to Ben because Ben doesn't look like he will suit our proposition, and they'll move on. We've found that using this dialer mode is great for taking that out of the equation, and that helps with contact rates and conversion rates as well of campaigns. And then for predictive dialing, that is better for larger teams. Typically, we recommend over 10 agents at any one point in time. And you can also use an automated approach of upgrading and downgrading between those different dialing modes. So if you want predictive when you're midweek, you're fully staffed, you've got 20 agents all going at a campaign, and you want to downgrade at the weekend when perhaps you've got a limited resource, you can absolutely set up that automation within the platform as well. And the system can pace itself based on the defined settings that you set. So We'll talk about drop rate and setting those shortly as well. Some top tips around that dialer modes and setting them up from the start. Really, from an outcomes perspective, when you're setting up campaigns, just make sure that you're setting up enough outcomes where it can provide insight, but not too many to cause confusion. That is something that sometimes that we see. And compliance is obviously a key one when we're thinking about dialer modes. So we know that there's things going on in the industry. There's lots of regulation, FCA, Ofcom. Ofcom state now that 0 drop calls is what they're aiming for. So you might feel like it'd be slower dialing, but actually in the long run, it will ensure that you're not tagged from a spam perspective and you're not ruining your contact rates as well. So yeah, we don't want to cause any compliance headaches for you by giving you the wrong advice there. And then next up, we've got script optimization. So crafting great scripts really comes down to a bit of art and science. So there's some key points really. Just make sure that you are working with the people who know your value proposition in your organization, whoever it is. It might be the contact center team, it could be the marketing team, the sales, like the BDM team. However you work as an organization, make sure that you are spending that time to refine those opening statements and that they're landing and engaging with prospects quickly. And you can develop flexible scripts that really allow for that personalization as well. So we've got branching logic that you're able to use in scripts. You can personalize them, make sure that you're including information around how to easily overcome some of the objections agents might face on the call. And also add in things like FAQs. You can build flows as well to ensure that the agents themselves are going through the sales process as you want them to, and that your calls are flowing as you expect. So things like terms and conditions, you can make sure that they are read out and that the agent has done that with tick boxes and that flow is there. And we'll talk about testing and optimization in a minute. Before we get onto that, the final thing before that is really around agent training and performance. So how do we ensure that we're onboarding teams quickly, they're able to use their campaigns effectively? So some of our recommendations are around making sure that we train agents on lower priority data at the start. You want to avoid really burning through any good leads or high priority data that you've got. And implementing real-time monitoring and coaching throughout that journey as well of onboarding and day-to-day life in the contact center. So you have got things like silent monitoring, whispering, full call barging capabilities as well. So they're all there for you to use. When it comes to testing and optimization, obviously we've got a really comprehensive reporting suite, over 40 out of the box reports, and we are able to develop custom reports as well. What we set really, the guidance here is when you're testing things like scripts, call times, list segmentation, make sure that you're using a systematic approach to testing those test strategies so that you're able to continuously analyze campaign data and identify those improvement areas within the business and the campaigns that you're running. So things that you can do is having clear test documentation. What is it that you want to test as part of this new script? Is it the conversion rate? Is it average handling time? What metric is it that you're trying to prove? So making sure that you've got that documented, you understand what you're testing is a really crucial part to then rolling out that test. Establish that clear criteria for test success and then plan on rolling that out. So you can either do A/B testing, where you're testing on a small segment of data before then rolling out the winning test, and then keep iterating from there. And knowing that, I suppose, no matter what's happening in the industry or day-to-day work, that there might be something that's happening outside of your control that impacts campaign performance. That's something that I definitely see from a marketing perspective over my career. So just having a look at what some of the drivers are behind some of the results that you get in is a crucial step as well. So I'll hand over to Ben now, who is going to take us through some of those key things in the platform itself.
Thanks, Kayleigh. Hello, everybody. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go through a few areas first within outbound. So I've got some tabs open, which hopefully I can get to and Zoom doesn't hide from me. So we'll start off with CTU and talking about progressive and predictive and changing your campaign and changing the amount of agents that we can update the status from predictive to progressive, vice versa. So obviously in the CTU, with your campaign, you've got the ability to change the type. So in here, if we set this to be a progressive campaign, we have the option here to increase to predictive. So if we tick this box, we can set a user threshold. So what the system will do is it will identify when you hit that specific number. So in this case, 20 users logged into that campaign, and then it will automatically move the campaign to be predictive mode. So dialing faster, getting through that data. Likewise, if you've got a predictive campaign, you can tell the system to degrade it to progressive, again, based on that figure in there. And I know Kayleigh mentioned sort of compliance and drop rate. This is really useful for your predictive campaigns for around sort of lunch times, break times, end of the day. As your agents all start logging off around the same time, you can see that spike in drop calls. So this will prevent that from happening. You know, when the system sees that people have logged out and you've hit 20 users, it's going to turn it down to the progressive or power, as some people know it, so that you don't get that big spike in drop calls and you can stay compliant there. So the next bit we'll have a look at in terms of this is setting campaigns to preview and giving your agents a bit of time to see information about your customers, make sure they're happy to make those calls. Again, Kayleigh mentioned a couple of examples of that. So obviously setting the campaign to preview, if we jump into the campaign in the contact hub, get rid of my message of the day. So when a user goes ready, the system will place calls. And as you can see there, it will give me a preview on the left-hand side of this particular contact. And I've got a set period of time. We've got this set to 60 seconds, but it can be different depending on what you want to do. So with that, the agent can look at the information they've got there. They can look at the script. They can see the information about the customer. If they think it's worth making that call, they can hit call. If they're not too sure and, you know, no, I don't think we'll bother calling this person, let's skip. Move on to the next one and then presented with the next customer. And then again, I can look at the information and make a decision based on that. It's worth noting that you can remove the skip option so that agents cannot skip the calls. They still have to make them, but they've been given that specific amount of time. So when the time runs out, the system will automatically dial unless the agent presses that beforehand. So I'm just going to jump out of that campaign and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so big feature, a new feature that we added in over the previous year is outbound skill-based routing. So this allows you to determine which of your users get which data within the system. So what you can do is you can label effectively your data with specific skill groups. Now, this could be a skill group that contains one individual skill, or it could contain multiple. So we've got a few examples on the screen now of skill groups. So these are the skill groups that we've got set up on here. And then within the skills themselves, we've got individual skills that we can assign to those particular groups. So what that allows us to do is say, you know, these agents have got these particular skills, this data's got these particular skills, therefore, those agents are going to get those specific calls. So what you can do with your data is when you go through and you do an import, so you select your file, you can, well, you've got two choices actually. The first one is when you go through the import process, you can assign a skill group. Now this will give all the data that you're importing the same skill group, which contains the skills within there. And then obviously your agents will get the relevant calls. What you can also do is ignore this option. And when you come through to the mapping, you can actually create yourself in your data a header for skills and create your skills within your data and assign it to those relevant leads. And then what that will allow you to do is when you do your mapping, you can map skill column to your skill group on the system, and that will automatically allocate the relevant skills to the relevant data within that one data file. So you don't have to do it as an all-in-one process. You can do it so that each bit of data can have a different skill if you want. Other areas that you can update here, I won't show you the screens, but briefly just explain that you can update your skills via result codes as well, and you can also change your skills via the list data manager as well. So if you've got a pot of data with one sort of set of skill groups and you want to change that entire pot, you can do that as well. Moving on to lists, pots of data. And my screen's just gone blank for a second there. Bear with me. There we go. Don't know what happened there. Apologies. Panic slightly there, setting. So the list page, obviously, we mentioned before about things like setting schedules, calling lists at specific times, setting result code plans for your users so they get the right outcomes on the screen, so they don't have to sift through a huge long list. They can just find the specific relevant ones, which can also be included in your scripts, by the way. So the plans tab of your list allows you to customize that. So a good example here is your result code. You know, for each one of your lists, you can have set result code plans that you can assign to that list, so your agents will get the most relevant result codes at the end of the calls. Same with your schedules. If you want to call specific lists at certain times, choose a specific schedule, allocate that, and then they'll be able to do that. So just to show you where they live, within the plans page, as an example, you've got schedules in here. So we can set schedules. You can have as many as you want on the system, where you can set specific times. So this is an 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. schedule, Monday to Friday. But obviously we can add in on the weekend. If you work the weekend, you can add in multiple blocks of
Ben, I wasn't sure if it was my challenge. We couldn't hear you then. You might need to connect your headset again or remove your headset. Still can't hear you. Okay. I wasn't quite sure whether that was me. And thank you for people in the Q&A for confirming. I'm sure you were saying some really great things as well. Still can't hear you. Well, Ben connect. Oh, he's back.
There we go.
Going to move on then.
Apologies, everybody.
We're up to schedules. We got you when you were setting the schedule for the weekend.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so you didn't miss too much. Yeah, it was just around, you can set those schedules on a list level, and you can also use them for campaigns as well if you need to. So yeah, lists, we can determine I want to call X list from 9 till 12, and then we'll call them again a little bit later, so you can have multiple blocks of time within those schedules as well on your lists. And then I was going to hand back over to you, Kayleigh, to talk about inbound.
Okay, good. Fab. Okay, I'll touch on a few different things in regards to effective inbound call management. So we're going to talk a little bit about inbound strategies and how crucial inbound is alongside the outbound campaigns as well. So there's a few different things here to chat about. The first one being intelligent call routing. So this typically involves directing incoming calls to the most appropriate agent or department based on various different factors. So something we have in the platform, very similar to outbound skills-based routing. We have skills-based routing, which does what it says on the tin, really. Routes calls to those agents with either specific skills or expertise. And you can use MaxContact skills matrix to match that caller need with the agent capability. So it really helps with solving challenges head on, first time, and it might even be from a sales perspective. You want that sales inquiry to go to someone who knows that product inside out, or is a specialist in selling to a certain persona, whatever it might be. You're able to set that up in the platform, so that from a sales and debt collection perspective, you're making the most out of every interaction you're getting inbound. On the IVR optimization side of things, an effective IVR system significantly improves that call routing efficiency. So having clear and concise menus, ensuring that you have a design that is intuitive for IVR menus with clear options, having limited number of menu levels to prevent from caller frustration, and having self-serve options as well. So being able to implement automated solutions for common queries, whether that's taking a payment over the phone and you want that to be agentless, or whether you want it's appointment reminders, whatever it might be, there are self-serve options that you can start to build and use as well within the platform. And then ensuring that, I suppose, the IVR menu itself is built from from a place of data-driven design, ensuring that you're analysing those common call reasons and you're prioritising those on the IVR menu, and you're regularly updating those as your customers' needs change. And as you get more information as an organisation and learn more, that is something that should be regularly reviewed, and ultimately something that can be tested as well relatively easily. So that's absolutely something that we recommend before just launching into that IVR design and putting things live. Queue management. So efficient queue management is crucial for if you are lucky to have those high call volumes from a sales and debt collection perspective. You have people who want to pay or might have queries. So you have got a few different options here, and we call these dynamic queue allocation. So you're able to adjust queue assignments based on the current call volumes and agent availability, and you can utilize MaxContact's real-time monitoring as well to make those data-driven queue decisions. So you can see how many people are in the queue at any one point in time, and be able to respond to the data that's in front of you. You've also got queue callbacks. So often callers have the option to receive a callback instead of waiting on hold. That usually is a better customer experience for people, and something from a CX perspective that we'd recommend. And you can also implement virtual queuing as well, so that someone can maintain the position without them needing to stay on the call. So just great options that help reduce any sort of customer frustration, but you're still able to contact any prospect or client that you need to in good time. You've also got other helpful things that help with CX as well. So things like estimated wait announcements, providing those accurate wait times, and also those alternative contact options for long wait times as well. They're all things that can be built into your platform and into your IVR system, and things we'd really recommend. Next, on call handling efficiency. This is really all about how to get the most out of your team who are handling inbound calls. So you do have the option to have a multi-use team and train your agents on both being able to take those inbound calls and do outbound calls as well. It might be that you're not getting quite the volume you need for a dedicated head just looking after those inbound calls. So that's something that we can absolutely do within the platform using the blended dialing features. And that helps switch agents between the tasks and helping manage call volumes, but also in between those tasks, delivering those outbound calls as well, so that you're really making the most of your team's time on the phone as well. You've got things like unified desktop, where as an organization, we have just recently launched the new version of our user experience and user interface, which is Contact Hub. That is free, a completely free upgrade. It really helps provide all the necessary tools and information in one interface. And if you have got an integration with CRM, that's really great for minimizing the agent's desktop, ensuring that everything they need is within the platform that they're looking at day in, day out, and making it as easy as possible. And then you've got things like scripting, which we touched on earlier, that really helps you to be able to deliver a first call resolution. And then finally on this point is really around warm transfers. So again, just really helping make things easy for your team. So when transfers are necessary within the team, that you're able to ensure that the receiving agent gets all the information they need. And you've also got the call whisper feature as well, if you need to brief the next agent before the call connects. So some good tips around how you can make the team's life easier who are working the campaigns. And then finally, I won't touch on all of the things in performance monitoring and optimization. We did that a little bit earlier, but you've got the real-time monitoring dashboards, the historical reporting, like I said, but you've also got the quality assurance part of the platform. So you're able to implement a robust calling scoring system. You're able to send coaching messages to the team as well. And then if you have got Spoken AI, which is MaxContact's speech analytics platform, you'll have all the call transcripts as well, which really helps identify those areas for monitoring, coaching, and training. And I'll hand back over to Ben, providing we don't have any more audio
Can
issues.
you hear me?
I can, yes, thanks.
My goodness. Thanks, Kayleigh. Yeah, so just a couple of pointers around inbound there. So the first one around inbound numbers and emergency routing, which some people don't know exists on the system. So what we've got, as you can see on the screen, hopefully, for our demo system is we've got lots and lots of numbers. And if there's an issue, in the event of a fire alarm, an unexpected impacting issue that's causing problems, you can switch on emergency routing for your calls. So what that involves is setting up an IVR that will handle those that emergency situation. It might be an automated message, say we're currently experiencing technical issues, blah, blah, blah. What you can do on the inbound numbers page is you can set those up and point those at a specific IVR for the call to go down. And then you can enable it on a number basis. So for each one of your inbound numbers, if it's just one that you need to put onto emergency routing, you can just toggle that on and you can toggle it off. And what you can also do in the event of a larger emergency is you can activate emergency routing for every single one of your inbound routes. So by selecting that button, effectively it will toggle all of them on, and all your inbound calls will go down the emergency routes that you've assigned per number, or they can all go to the same inbound route if that's how you've set that one up. Another thing to look at here is around your IVRs and setting up blackout days, which again is something that quite a lot of customers use, but particularly around the holiday season, Christmas, etc. Some customers don't have this already set up, and then they'll be contacting support for help on if they can do this. So within an IVR, you can add this blackout element here. And what this allows you to do is add days into it. So you simply click in, pick a date. And then what that means is essentially the call comes in, it hits that element, and it checks whether it's one of those dates. If it is one of those dates, you can then route it to your out of hours message to say, sorry, there's nobody available right now. We're closed for Christmas, or whatever it may be. So you can set those in your IVR so that it obviously routes the appropriate way. If it's not one of those days, then it will go through, and in this instance, it's your opening hours, for example, on there. Another one for you to help you to track where your IVR is potentially going wrong. If you're getting a lot of inbound calls, but people are abandoning a lot, or hanging up somewhere in that IVR, what you can actually do on these elements is assign a result code, a specific result code. So you can go to your result codes page, create a unique result code for this particular element, that particular element, and so on, and add them in there. And then what that allows you to do is run reports, go to recordings, playbacks, record history, and search for that result code and see how many of those calls have been abandoned at that particular point within the IVR. There is also a report that will show you where your IVRs are getting the hits on the elements as well. So that can help you there. Another one that was mentioned, so very, very briefly, every single customer has what we call a safe queue position or virtual queue or even a golden ticket within their MaxContact portal. It's already in there, set up as default, and it looks like this. The only things you would need to do are to obviously change your messages accordingly, decide whether or not you just want option 1, option 2, or whether you want more. And all you need to do is add an option within your queues which jumps to that particular page. So this IVR here is set up to call comes in, it asks them, this is your number, press 1 to save your place in the queue, press 2 to give us a different number, and then it will go around and do the same thing. And then the system will automatically call them back when they get to position 1 in the queue. So the customer doesn't have to stay on the line and wait for 5 minutes or whatever it may be. The system will do it for them, and then it will call them back. And then the last little tip, just to throw in, is testing your IVRs. So once you've built your IVRs or you've edited them and you've added more things in, if you want to test them, you can actually use the inbound deny list. So this page is predominantly for any customers who receive constant calls, maybe from 1 or 2 numbers, people ringing in, just being a nuisance. You can point them at a specific IVR, so some hold music, so they never get through to anyone, they just hit the hold music every time. But what you can actually do is pop your number in there and then point it to specific IVR elements within your IVR to test it, to make sure it's working, but without having to go through everything beyond that point. So if you've added something in 10 elements into an IVR, rather than doing a call and going through all your options before you hit that, just point that at that specific IVR element, and then you can test from that point on. So it saves you that little bit of time when you're testing your IVRs. And that's everything for that particular section. If I can hand back to Kayleigh.
Yep, you can. Sounds pretty evil, Ben. Pointing to people that hold music. There are a couple of questions just on that last section that I'll ask now, if that's all right, before we jump into this. So one specific one on the IVR blackout days. Yes. So can you use the blackout days but for times of the day instead? So if your hours change on a bank holiday, could you use that functionality at that point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So obviously, as you saw, it will divert if it is that particular day. So you could then point it to a separate time element, which has those specific opening hours for that particular day, and then route that through to your queue or your out of hours message. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben. If there's any more other questions, please give us a shout. We've got one more, but it's more generic, so I'll ask that one at the end. So just touching on this final slide from us, and this is some insight that came from the benchmark report that we performed. We reached out to 500 UK contact centres in May time to understand what really, from a contact centre leader's side of things, what key things are you measuring as an organisation? What are your key concerns? So these are some of the key performance indicators that contact centre leaders were calling out. So the top measures and metrics that contact centres need to measure are average handle time. So over 50% of people called that one out. Quality assurance at 42%, and then customer satisfaction at 41%. So other popular choices included like first contact resolution and call outcomes. So some really great insight, and that is something that we would like to show you how you get to more of that insight using our reporting suite in the platform. Is that something you're taking us through, Ben? You're on mute.
It is.
This time.
Give me a chance. Give me a chance. Yeah. So in terms of reporting, just a couple of really kind of useful tips. So First one being outcomes. And again, some customers use this, some customers don't, but it can be really, really useful for keeping an eye on that agent behavior and what they're doing with specific outcomes and making sure they're doing everything that you want them to do. So within your result codes, you can set on the advanced tab of every single result code you've got, you can set an expected handle time, how long you expect roughly an agent to deal with that type of outcome call, a minimum and a maximum. So I expect my agents to only spend a maximum of 30 seconds on an answer machine outcome, minimum of 5 seconds. So make sure they're listening. Is that an answer machine message? Yes, it is. Disposition, I'll leave a message. You can report on that from the reporting section, but what you can also do is you can come into the recordings playback from the quality section, and you can do a really quick search, so an advanced search with the grey button top right, select your result code that you're interested in, select exceptions over, as I have done in this case, and hit search. And that will pull up every answer machine that has effectively taken too long. So what you will find, potentially, and I have found this quite often in the past, is you will see the same agents' names appearing in this left-hand side here around specific outcomes. So all of these calls that have been dispositioned as an answer machine have taken too long. In total, they've either hit or gone over 30 seconds, which is too long based on the rule that I've set on that particular outcome. Another quick one is, actually, sorry, let me just jump back to that. One other thing just to mention as well, with these call recordings, a really, really new feature is the ability to delete your call recordings. As long as you've got the permission to do so on this page, and you can access this page from an admin point of view, you can self-serve now and you can delete call recordings rather than having to create a ticket with the support team for us to go in and remove that for you. You've now got the ability to do that yourself simply by clicking that button there. Once you do, that recording cannot be recovered. And then just a really quick one, when you're importing data, if you're buying that data in, you can select obviously the supplier where you've got that from. You can create multiple suppliers. There's a few on that list there. You can add as many as you want in, and you can enter your cost per lead in here. So this particular import, all the leads have cost me 50 pence per lead. There is a report that you can run, which is called the supplier summary report, which I didn't have prepared earlier. And that one will basically tell you whether it's value for money. So it will give you, over on the right hand side, your cost per success, total leads costs, as well as some other information around, attempts, penetration rate, calls, and successes as well. So yeah, in terms of reporting, that's that one. Kayleigh, do you want me to hand back to you regarding efficiencies?
You can feel free to go. We are running short on time, so do you want to jump into the next stage, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll jump in. We'll fly through a few of these. Right, so we'll carry on. So just a few other tips around sort of other areas that you might want to do. So first of all, you've got data imports. If you want them to be dialed the moment they hit MaxContact, what you can do is you can have, so, it might be from web leads, for example. So what we can do is we can do API imports, and with your API import mapping, what you are able to do is simply, and this is a really quick one, tick that high priority tick box there. And what that will mean is as soon as they're imported, they will be called. They will go in ahead of everything else. They're a high priority lead. They will go in, they will be called pretty much straight away. Another one is to stop manually importing data and use an SFTP upload. So as long as you've got the SFTP upload set up, a folder with the same name as your API import mapping page, and this is something that obviously our support team can help you with and help you implement. As long as it's got the right name, you can put your data into those folders, and the system will automatically map that data and import that data into the system for you. So you don't have to do your manual imports. They'll just go in straight away. Another couple of ones around importing data really quickly is if we grab and very, very quickly, hence the random clicking. If we go in here, down the bottom, you can enable import expiry. So if you have data that you want to expire on a certain date, after a certain amount of days, you can set that in here. So obviously with this import, I want it to expire on a specific date or after X number of days. And I can enter those figures in there as well. And then that will allow you to, that data will expire automatically after that time. So you don't have to go in and clear that data out, etc. On the subject of data imports, on your import lead history page, you can undo an import that's happened by mistake, has gone in and has potentially gone on the wrong list. Rather than sort of dial through it and panic and just leave it as it is, you can actually just roll that import back nice and quickly. So in your import history, and this import has been rolled back, you can see there that there's one that's been rolled back. If we just move that in there, if I select this one here and click the info button, I actually have the option to roll back here. So I can roll back that import. It would remove every single lead from that particular list that I've imported it onto, remove them from the system, and then I can redo my import onto the correct list. Just a word of warning, there is an option to roll back dialed numbers, but when you do that, the system will, when you re-import that number, it won't recognize that you've already called that number because it will have gone in as a separate new lead. So it will call that data again. So it's just to be aware. It will show you, the system will show you if you've already dialed leads off that import. If you do roll those ones back, you are going to dial them again. So obviously, again, around Ofcom sort of adherence, etc., is just something to be aware of there. We've hit 1:46, so we're a minute over. So I think we will. I will stop there. I'll pass you back to Kayleigh.
Thank you. Yeah, all good stuff, Ben. A couple of questions that we've got. So, with outbound data, we call the data 3 times before we remove the dials. We leave it 24 hours between calls currently. Is there a way for each day we call for it to call at different times of the day? So one morning, one early afternoon, one late afternoon. Sorry, you got tongue-tied with that question.
Yeah,
do you understand that one, Ben?
Kind of, yes. Yeah, no. So obviously you've got your list schedules that you can put on your individual lists. So you can put your data in, you can actually roll over your data from the system recalls page. Let me just real quick share my screen and I will show you as quick as I can click within Zoom. Yeah, so on the plans page, system recalls, you can actually set recall values, and then there's this rollover on max attempts. So, let's say you've got 3 lists. Your first list you call from 9 till 12. When you've called them once from that list, we put a rollover onto the second list. The second list is set up to call people between 12 and 2 p.m. Call them from that. Again, roll over on max attempts onto list 3, which calls from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., for example. So you can do that as well. And also as part of your import process, you can set a can call date and time on your leads as well. So when you go through and you map your data, as you will have seen when I was mapping the skills originally on that mapping page, if I could really quickly whiz to the next page to show you. Next page. Oops. Pop that in there. Next. Yeah, on here, on your default lead table, you can add in a can call date, which is up there actually, sorry. Yeah, that one there. So you can map your can call date and time into that, so you call people at specific times. I hope that answered the question.
I think it did. Let us know if it didn't. Another question is around deletion. So we receive confidential personal files to confirm identity. How is it stored in the platform? It's on email. Can it be deleted?
Yeah, absolutely. So any attachments, as you saw with the call recordings, obviously you can delete those and they're permanently deleted, removed from the system. Any attachments that are sent in or your agents have uploaded and sent us via an email, via SMS, web chat even, they can be deleted as well from the history. Again, you can go into ticket history and you can remove those. There's a delete button now, which again is a new feature that came in at the same time as the recordings. So you can self-serve that as well. Go in. Any sensitive data can be deleted from those tickets.
Cheers. Thanks, Ben. Amazing. So I think a lot of those, we're trying to really show you how you can drive efficiencies, how you can be more productive with the tools that are available to you, in MaxContact. We know that right now, across a lot of conversations we're having with customers, that driving efficiency is absolutely key. You need more pressure than ever to achieve more with the same resource or less resource. So hopefully that gave you a few tips and tricks and things that you can start to implement. If you do want any more advice, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to help. So a few highlights of what we've covered. So we covered some best practice for high volume campaigns, talked about progressive, predictive and outbound skills-based routing, shared some strategies for efficient call routing, and for inbound situations like emergency routing, result codes in IVRs. And we looked at some of the performance indicators, and we will send out the benchmark report after we have finished this call. And then finally, just how you can be a bit more efficient. We know it's really important. So we'll send out a follow-up email, including the recording, the transcript and the slides. But thank you very much for attending the webinar. I hope you found it useful. If there's anything that you would find useful in future webinars, please let us know as well. We're more than happy to create content. There is one question. Oh no, it was a confirmation. You answered the question, Ben. Well done. Thank you. And that's us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.